Dust hung in the hot noon like breath that refused to leave. The training field of Bravo. Company was a rectangle of scuffed earth and stubborn pride, ringed by recruits who hid nerves beneath jokes. Kaya Morgan stood near the end of the line, smaller than most, sleeves rolled, boots clean, face unreadable. Two trainees jostled past and bumped her ruck. It toppled, straps catching her knees. She went down hard, palms scraping earth. Someone snorted. Someone else muttered that she should ask to be reassigned to an easier track. Kaya rose without looking back, brushed soil from her sleeves, and reset her cap as if straightening a picture on a wall. Sergeant Beck liked to teach by pressure. He called it real world. He scanned for a volunteer and picked Kaya with a tap of the baton. The crowd murmured. Some were curious, some eager for a little theater. He demonstrated a compliance hold, thumb grinding into the tendons of her wrist, elbow locked, body weight pinning her in place. He told the platoon to watch how fast bravado fades when leverage lands. The afternoon held its breath. Kaya did what she had practiced alone in quiet hours. She softened her knees, rolled the captured wrist toward the seam of the thumb, dropped her center an inch, and stepped into his blind side. The hold dissolved like a knot meeting patient fingers. She redirected, not with anger, but with care, guiding, his balance forward until his free hand found the air and then the ground. His hat tilted. His pride wobbled. His body remained safe. She stepped back and opened both hands as if returning something borrowed. Silence spread across the field, a tide that reached even the loudest corners. Beck blinked. Surprised not by pain, there was none, but by the speed and the stillness. The trainees looked at one another, faces shifting from mockery to attention. Kaya's eyes met no one's. She centered her stance as if nothing had happened. Dirt clung to her knees like a signature. A medic on the sideline hid a smile. A senior non-commissioned officer by the gate folded his arms, the faintest nod settling at his jaw. He had seen that sequence before in rooms where trophies did not hang on walls, and names were known only to those who needed to know. Kaya said nothing. Her quiet filled the space where applause might have lived. A thought simple and clean moved through the ranks. Strength can be gentle and still be strong. Before the field, there were halls that smelled like disinfectant and lemon tea, floors that only shone because Kaya polished them after long shifts. She worked nights at a shelter, clinic and mornings at a warehouse, to keep a promise she made years earlier to stand where her younger brother could see her when life felt too far. She wore responsibility like armor and softness like a hidden blade. Her father taught community self-defense at the rec center. Her mother taught the kind that heals. Kaya learned both, practicing wrist, releases with a dish towel and de-escalation with a smile that could disarm a room. She once wore another uniform, blue instead of green, guarding flight lines and gates overseas. Heat rose from tarmac like a second sun. She learned to read crowds, to hear motive under words, to spot the moment someone decided between pride and peace. A teammate named Rivera used to say, "Quiet is a tool. Use it." When Rivera didn't come home from a crash far away, Kaya kept the paracord, bracelet they braided together, and built a life that honored steady, work over easy praise. Joining the Guard felt less like starting over and more like returning to a language she still knew. She arrived older than many, strong in the way that comes from lifting real weight. Sick relatives into cars, groceries upstairs, co-workers when they broke under loads no one else could see. Paperwork placed her in Bravo. Company without notes about past roles or instructor certifications. She didn't correct it. She wanted a clean slate, not a headline. Sergeant Beck, for all his bark, wasn't cruel. He believed pressure turned carbon to diamond and forgot that people aren't stones. He'd heard rumors of a guest instructor, scheduled for the month, but hadn't seen the memo that schedules shifted and names changed. The command sergeant major, Ruiz, knew the truth. He had invited Kaya back as a quiet test to see how the culture held up when Grace stood inside it. He watched from the fence line as trainees misread strength and mistook silence for softness. Kaya's bracelet pressed her wrist as she rose from the dirt. She thought of Rivera. She thought of her brother watching online when the unit posted clips. She reminded herself of the lines she kept for hard days. Honor does not shout. It stands. Respect is the first safety rule. The field did not know her story. It did not need to. It only needed to learn. After the hold broke, eyes turned to Beck for the next move. Pride is a loud coach. He forced a grin that didn't reach his eyes and invited Kaya to try that again, this time with him ready. He shifted weight, tightened elbows, and went for a different control. The trainees leaned in, eager but uneasy. Some remembered pushing her ruck. Regret tugged at their faces like wind at a flag. Kaya allowed the grip to land, then freed herself with the same calm rhythm, wrist to thumb seam. Step, redirect, release. Beck ended balanced on one knee, palm light on the mat, not hurt, just halted. A ripple of small apologies moved through the ranks, not in words, but in the way spines straightened and hands left pockets. The medic crossed his arms, satisfied. Ruiz checked his watch and made a call. Bystanders will always either shrink or stand. Private Sims, who had laughed earlier, took one step forward as if pushed by honesty. He asked how she had done it. The question carried no edge, only curiosity. Kaya gave the shortest answer possible, naming the principle and the purpose. Protect your joints, protect theirs, end the moment with everyone able to walk away. She kept theory light and safety heavy. No drama, only craft. A truck eased through the gate carrying new training pads and a crate marked with a unit crest most recruits knew but had never seen up close. 4 seasoned soldiers climbed down, boots quiet, eyes kind. They moved with the same economy Kaya had shown, like people used to being useful without being seen. Beck looked from the crate to Ruiz, confusion softening his jaw. The trainees fell into an instinctive at ease that looked a lot like respect. Rumors ran through the formation. Guest cadre, surprise inspection, promotion board. Ruiz stepped onto the field and thanked everyone for their attention. He didn't mention mistakes. He spoke about culture, about the kind that keeps people safe during training and trusted during missions. His gaze rested on Kaya only long enough to tell her he saw her. Then he asked for one more demo, this time with a partner of her, choosing and with the new mats they had earned, by how they carried themselves today. Kaya chose Sims. She corrected his stance with patience and a nod. Trust the small moves, she said, loud enough for all to hear. Big talk breaks, small truths hold. The field listened like a congregation, about to learn a better prayer. Ruiz introduced the visitors with the ease of old friends. They were the base's mobile training team, the quiet experts who rewrote curriculums after injuries and rebuilt trust where bravado had cracked it. One of them, Staff Sergeant Valdez, nodded toward Kaya with the kind of respect that can't be faked. She had taught with them before on weekends, volunteering under another badge. The reveal wasn't a trumpet. It was a key turning in a lock. The room, open sky, dust and all, shifted from spectacle to school. They ran the drill again. Kaya broke the hold slow, step by step, inviting everyone into the why. Beck tried it with Valdez and felt the release from the other side. He stood with the humility that arrives when you realize you were loud where you should have been careful. He offered a hand to Kaya. She took it without triumph. The apology between them was simple and real. Ruiz addressed the formation and put 3 lines into the air that would echo long after boots left prints in the dirt. Respect is non-negotiable. Safety is strength, not softness. Honor moves quiet until someone needs it loud. He announced a new standard. No more showy takedowns, no more careless pressure, no more laughs at another's expense. Technique would be taught by those who could do it without leaving. Bruises on bodies or on pride. The trainees crowded the mats, eager now for the details that keep hands and hearts unbroken. Sims learned to free a grip and looked like a person who had set down a secret weight. The 2 who had shoved Kaya's ruck lifted the pads and held them steady for others. Penance paid in service. Beck walked the line, correcting angles with a softer voice. He looked at Kaya the way a student looks at a teacher, not a rival. When the sun slid and the field cooled, Ruiz called the company to attention. He thanked Kaya in front of everyone and asked her to say one thing she wanted them to carry into every room. She glanced at the dirt on her knees, at the bracelet on her wrist, at the faces that now mirrored attention instead of doubt. Strength that humiliates is weak, she said. Strength that protects is unbreakable. The words fit the field like shade in summer. They dismissed with a calm that felt like pride earned the right way. Kaya stayed behind to stack mats. Beck helped without being asked. Sims jogged to the fence to bring her ruck, setting it down as if returning a flag. The dust finally settled. The place where she had been pushed was just ground again, nothing more, nothing less. A reminder that dignity can fall and still stand taller afterward. A field that expected a show learned a craft. A unit that flirted with harshness chose honor instead. One woman's silence reset the room. Which line stayed with you? Share where you're watching from. And a time-quiet strength changed the outcome. Subscribe for more cinematic stories that honor safety, respect, and the courage to be steady when the crowd wants noise.